Hi guys, it's 14th episode of Suit Yourself, a menswear podcast, and with me is Jordan.
That's me.
Mihao, and we have another guest, Linus. Hi Linus.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you that you came to us. And Linus is a recruiter in science, and we are gonna talk about how to dress well on an interview to get the job that you want.
Gonna be interesting. We're talking about the dating situations, which is some kind of recruitment as well, in a certain way.
Yeah, kind of. This is the professional dating service.
Exactly.
Yeah, so Linus, you are also a menswear influencer.
Well, yeah, you could call it that. Perhaps a reluctant or unintentional influencer, or a menswear enthusiast at least. Yep.
Yeah, but you have a lot of followers and you have a lot of pictures showing your outfits. And how it even started?
Actually, it started, 8 years ago? My oldest son was then about to get on social media, getting an Instagram account, and I felt, hey, maybe I want to have a little bit of control what he's doing, or at least be aware of it. Yeah. So I needed to get on the platform as well. So I needed an account to see what he was up to.
Interesting.
And then it just happened that, okay, so I need to have something on there. It just happens that the first picture was a poor hotel room selfie from when I picked up a suit in Brussels. I was there to give a speech at an event, and then just took off from there. Basically being a documentary of kind of outfit of the day.
Yeah, actually, you're an inspiration for a lot of people, because a lot of newbies in menswear, they don't know how to match the jacket, the shirt, the tie, the pocket square. So actually, those pictures are pretty simple, but they are very useful.
It's like a library, I would say. It's a library that teach the eye on proportions, combinations of colors and textures, and I would say it's a very important step to understand how to, it's almost a tutorial on how to match things, I would say. It's quite interesting.
But we want to know what your son was up to.
By the way.
Actually, I think he got bored of Instagram before I got bored.
You just stayed.
Yeah, I stayed on. But thank you for your kind words. It really means a lot, because that's what it's all about. Kind of to be a source of inspiration, and if I can help people to kind of be more comfortable and confident in the way they dress, and perhaps find a new interest in it as well, that's great. And if I can help one single man out there to feel better about the way he dresses and understand a bit more, then it's all worth it.
But it's a passion of you. It's not just because this picture didn't happen randomly. It was already something that you liked. Yeah.
I guess there's always been kind of some kind of aesthetic interest, I guess, and an interest in clothing that I guess evolved over time. And the more you learn, the more you take in, then the more exciting it gets. And
was it as big? Who influences with in your passion? Was it Instagram and documenting what you were doing make it grow on you?
Yeah, I think the availability of that source of inspiration probably helped kind of boosting it, definitely. I remember getting on there initially. I was influenced by there was a lot of very well-dressed people across the globe that I learned from. Some examples, like Simon in
Crompton.
Perfecto Benedetto with Shibumi was one
the Thai brand,
exactly,
from Florence.
One early one that I do recall, but there's a whole bunch of them, of course.
But your interest started because you needed to wear a suit or a jacket at work?
No, I think my interest started way earlier, when I remember going back in my teens. I was kind of fascinated by my grandfather's old tweed jacket, and and I picked up some stuff from my father that I was lucky to inherit.
Nice transmission, I would say.
Yeah, I remember picked up. He had an kind of a bottle green corduroy suit that was really cool, and I kind of picked that one up. It doesn't fit anymore, and the aesthetics my preference for aesthetics have changed since then. But I actually the other year picked up a similar one as kind of honoring that first one.
Just a different fit.
Nice.
Yeah, a different fit. Actually from we talked about Polish brands. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. From which one?
Poszetka.
From Poszetka. Yeah, perfect. Polish Poszetka. Guys, Poszetka means just pocket square in Polish.
I just wanted to mention about your principle, what you are doing, basically documenting different outfits. And it's actually an exercise that I recommend people doing. And I mean, not only if you're in fashion, it's actually the job of a stylist. When you're a stylist, basically, you take pictures of outfit, and it's a way to inform and document what you have. For example, we tend to accumulate a lot of clothing in our wardrobes, and we don't really know what we have anymore. And at some point, we open a wardrobe that is full of clothes, and we say, "I don't have anything to wear today."
And we wear just the same outfits.
Exactly, because it becomes the go-to, which is good in certain ways. But we still have a lot of clothing that would work perfectly, but we tend to forget about them. And I would say that documenting what you are wearing is super powerful in that regard. And do you feel this influence by documenting what you are wearing?
First of all, I agree with you. I think it's a good idea, and it definitely helps. To me, I think I've kind of come to a point where I get reminded at times. Oh yes, I do have that piece that it's actually great. I should use it more.
Yeah. Or maybe it's time to sell it.
Or that, but also I think I kind of enjoy challenging myself of not repeating things. So even though, of course, the wardrobe isn't endless, but with if you have the right type of pieces that are very versatile, and then you use ties, pocket squares, and other accessories as well, together with maybe a suit or jacket, trousers,
every outfit
shirt.
can be unique.
It's easy to make something unique, even though you have limited number of pieces to
Imagine
work with.
Women, they just have a dress and shoes. Just two pieces.
Yeah, but they style a lot, I would say.
Yeah, I know.
Compared
but,
to us.
we can have a different shirt to the same suit, different tie, and the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, but that's why also we advise to tone down, and usually not to wear too much colors and too much accessories, because I don't know who was saying that, but just before leaving home, take one accessory off. That's good advice, I would say.
Yeah, I heard that. But we met here because we want to talk about how to dress on interviews. Because I went to many interviews and I always felt that I was overdressed. I need to watch out because I don't know is there any perfect look, what to wear on an interview?
Yeah, fair enough, actually, because sorry, Linus, I will let you, we are super interested to have your opinion about this, but I also felt a bit the same when I was going to be recruited. I have the wish, for example, to wear a tie because I like wearing ties, but I was thinking...
But at a menswear?
Exactly, even Blue Jello, I was thinking... Maybe it's too much to come up with a tie all the time. So maybe it's better to come just with a sweater because, you want to show also different parts of your personality. You don't want to feel or make the recruiter feel that you're a bit uptight or, it might have an influence. But yeah, very interesting to have your opinion on this.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing. I totally get that point, and I can also see how both of you may have had those experiences where you feel kind of overdressed or not knowing how to tone it down. I think from recruiters' point of view, thinking about how you dress, it's a bit of how do you want to be perceived? Like going into the interview, just like the way you talk, what you say,
or just you want to leave the clothes to talk for you.
Do you really want? Well, if you're recruited into menswear, like with Blue, maybe you want your clothes to do the talking. But if you're like getting into the finance sector, for instance, then you probably wanna have what you're saying more important than do the talking, rather than what you're wearing. So you may want to be wearing something that doesn't distract the person you meet from what you're actually saying and what you want to convey. At the same time, personal, like style is personal, right? And dressing is a way of expressing yourself. And you don't want to remove that entirely. So it's about, okay, so how do you express yourself?
Yeah, exactly.
But do it in a balanced way, so there's no distraction, and you come across as professional in that interview. But also there's one more factor, and that's you being comfortable and confident, and let's say you enjoy wearing a tie, right? So for you to put on a tie is completely natural.
But do you think that it can make the other person feel uncomfortable because you're overdressed and you're wearing a tie, and for example somebody that will be over you in the company is not wearing a suit even?
Definitely, and I've seen that over and over, and I guess you may have experienced that yourself, right?
Exactly. Like I'm an accountant, so people in accounting are just dressing very regular. Not even like, I'm not even a finance bro, because finance bros are something different than accountant dudes.
Right.
It's like a t-shirt and sweater.
More like IT-ish.
Okay. But it's exactly that. No, I would say that most of the time, but correct me if I'm wrong, when you are to be recruited by someone, they always want to know about you. So there's a limit to what your outfit can say about you. And if you are just expecting your outfit to say about you, then you are in the wrong place, because of course the recruiter will ask more. And then if he sees emptiness behind this outfit, it really doesn't matter how you're dressed, I would say.
Yeah.
But do you have some experience that somebody had something very flamboyant at an interview?
It's not very common, I would say. Rather the opposite would be more common nowadays. And I remember nowadays a lot of interviews are taking place digitally. And people can be very differently prepared. So one thing I would recommend is always be prepared for the interview, and that means
always to have trousers.
Have trousers, but also maybe the way you position your camera or computer or what have you.
That's interesting.
Like, just make sure everything is set up and you have no technical difficulties when you start up and all of that. But in that setting, it varies a lot how people dress. And I should probably mention that I recruit for the life science industry specifically, meaning pharmaceutical companies, biotech companies, medical device companies, and everything from scientists that are in the lab to where you might have a white lab coat and maybe, might be jeans and sneakers, what have you. And it might be a CEO position of a public company. So it varies a lot. But what I see more regularly, people dressing down too much than dressing up too much.
Too much. What is too much?
I'll give you one example. I just want to bring one example from the other end. I remember having a digital interview, the first round of interviews for one of those lab-based positions. So you don't expect someone to show up in a suit and a tie. That would have been off, definitely. But this person showed up in a fishnet tank top.
That's very expressive.
But wait a minute, was that digital or
This
in
was
person?
digital, yeah. But even so, showing up on screen, just wearing a fishnet tank top.
Was he ripped?
Nope.
No. Okay.
So it wasn't anything like that.
Not
It was
even.
just he probably didn't think of it.
Yeah.
Maybe he thought that there's a filter on.
Yeah,
Or something.
exactly.
You know, the filter with the background,
exactly.
but also a filter with his clothes.
By the way, is my filter on, or can you see my nipples?
Like, you know, the guy that turned on some filter and he was a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, no disrespect, but respecting the situation and the setting,
Exactly.
and also think about how you want to be perceived.
I would love to see your reaction.
Yeah. Probably would have been funny.
On the outside, it was fairly neutral. On the inside, I was thinking,
What the
It's gonna
actual?
be
Yeah.
difficult.
and of course, then it's kind of uphill from there. But at the end of the day, my job is not to look at how someone is dressing. My job is to assess their competence and their potential of succeeding in that new role.
The competence
He
is
better
maybe
be-
spoke.
He better be genius
It's
if
so.
he show up like this.
Yeah.
I would say, because
Yeah, but on the other hand, you talked about like overdressing. I remember myself, because first of all, I have some 20 years in the life science industry myself, working in all kinds of rooms and also on a global level. But I remember even stepping into boardroom with an executive board sitting there and feeling that they judge me for being dressed in a
Overdressed.
suit and a tie, because it's a kind of a scientific company.
Okay.
So even though you feel that you're respecting the setting, it might be you need to tone it down to kind of adjust.
But did you
to
get
the
some
character.
compliments about your outfit?
Yeah. I've had tons of that, and of course that's positive. But I've also had, like, I remember going into a meeting with a client.
Ironical compliments, maybe.
Yeah, I entered a meeting with a new client, a CEO of this company, and was a kind of an engineering company, and he immediately complimented me on my shoes, which were, if I recall correctly, like maybe a Utah Grain split toe boot.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting. Very
For the nerdy audience.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of the first things he said.
Maybe he was interested in menswear.
That was my first reaction, but then I realized it wasn't that.
No.
It was rather that he kind of
never seen shoes like that.
recognized that I was dressed in a suit and a tie, kind of proper dressed, not overly dressing, but proper, and he was dressing more casually. So I think he felt that I was kind of, is that one of these sales guys coming in, like dressing up but don't really know anything?
Okay.
So we spent like the first 15 minutes of that meeting was, I really felt I had to prove my competence.
Okay.
Once he understood that, okay, so there was something behind that surface, he triggered down.
That's interesting.
And we got into.
So he misjudged you the other way around. He was thinking, since you're overdressed, you are compensating for maybe some lack of knowledge.
Exactly. So I think having that in mind as well when dressing.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you have that factor. You have the one that you mentioned, maybe intimidating someone that would be your boss by dressing. Yeah.
For me, for example, showing up on an interview in a suit, at least in a men's uniform, a jacket, and maybe even without a tie, is just showing respect and that I'm professional.
Yeah.
But I also have experience of going on interviews in Poland. And I see, like, here in Sweden, I can show up just in a shirt. There is also some kind of dress code in finance.
It's more traditional, and actually, also where you're coming from. So your background tradition means I need to respect the moment, so I need to dress up for the occasions.
Exactly, but we are sitting here in our studio is at Skåksebolaget, and we have 2 pair of shoes. I actually choose those specially for this episode. We have white sneakers, Löfvetung, and St. Crispin's black Oxfords, and those are the most popular shoes in finance. the most formal and the least formal, and that's just funny, because like I don't wear either of those.
Yeah, but it's black and white in more than sense than one.
Yeah, but it's like a contrast.
Yeah.
And that's and you said about those shoes, they were like split toe, nothing like that. And I just wonder why people dress so formal and at the same time wearing, for example, vests, Patagonia vests.
Yeah.
And why sneakers? What do you think that? How is your take on this?
So I think sneakers is that it's been popular over the recent years, and it's one way for people to feel a bit cool and trendy. You might even wear it with, like, you're wearing a navy suit. Someone would put on those white sneakers with that suit. I wouldn't do that.
Me neither.
But many would.
It was very popular.
Feel they're very...
10 years ago, everyone wanted to have the white sneaker. I remember even 15 years ago in Paris, like everyone wanted to have the Stan Smiths, you know.
Yeah,
and then you get tired of them. It's the other way around.
So it's either that, wanting to be trendy, or it's just a casual thing, and it's kind of an easy solution. In they kind of look good and clean, and the other end of the spectrum with the
black
Oxfords. Then I know why I need to dress a bit formal and properly. I don't really know this area, and I may not be interested. That's the safest option.
Just the
black
safest.
Oxford.
Yeah, midnight blue and black Oxford will always be the safe choice, I would say.
Yeah, and I totally respect that. And like, we're sitting here, three guys with maybe above average interest in menswear and style. We need to keep that in mind.
And the interesting thing is that you, Jordan, you're wearing a navy suit.
Yeah.
Very like formal suit with black loafers, but without the shirt. You have more like smart casual, Linus, and I'm very casual.
Yeah, but I discovered something. It's and that's also a question to you, because you were talking about always try to find creativity in what you are wearing, and trying always to bring up something new. And I was wondering if it's not harassing at some point, because me, it's the other way around. When I'm starting finding combinations that I like, for example, full navy blue, I'm like, well, I'm gonna keep wearing that more often. Actually, it's gonna be a bit my go-to, you know.
And I guess I have my style preferences as well. It might be color combinations or textures that I do enjoy, or specific patterns that I keep coming back to.
Because you know they look good on you, and that's your preference at the end of the day. So
of course, and I've developed that personal style over time, and you keep evolving, hopefully. As
how could you describe your style?
I guess it wouldn't be up to me to describe it. I would be more interested in hearing your thoughts, but I would describe it, and I have heard many people describe it as fairly classic, but with kind of a modern twist.
A lot of patterns.
A lot of
classics outfit, which is, I mean, always very good to. They are classic for a reason. Oftentimes people think that when it's classic, it's boring. You know, we're talking about that. Navy is boring because everyone is wearing navy. No, everyone is wearing navy because it's versatile and because it's beautiful. And classic outfits are classic because they are beautiful. So I would say going into the classic and keep experimenting the classics, because there's always a way to twinkle around them and to modify them. But at the end of the day, if a classic is a classic, it's everything that is aesthetical are some classics, and if they are classic, it's for good reason. We can go into arts again. If people keep going from all over the world in Le Louvre, it's because the classics are and stays and remain what is beautiful. And not, I'm maybe going to make myself some enemies, but the modern things, the white canvas with some stain on them, sorry, they don't bring people from all over the world. Or probably people will tell me the other way around, but we can debate on this. It's another story. But what I mean at the end of the day is that classic is important to experiment at some point in your life, and there's so many classics that you might find yours, but it's important also in the way of dressing yourself. I would say it's also important because it sends a message to people, something that can be recognized. And when you're in a culture, it's important to show some signals. And those classics are important because they are showing a signal. And I would say that sending a signal is definitely. When you're an individual in a society, you want to belong to this society, and to belong to this society, you need to have there's different tools to communicate, and your outfit is one of them. And the outfit can be sometimes to step out the crowd, but sometimes it's to belong to this crowd and to send signals that will be understood by this crowd.
I think that in Sweden we want to belong to the crowd.
Yeah.
More often. It's like a Swedish, Scandinavian tradition.
Yeah, culture, I would say.
Part of an extension of the
Jantelagen,
But it would make sense. I mean, it's a smaller country, and it's been also very much shaped by things such as the weather. I mean, when it's cold, you have smaller communities. You need to know everyone. You need to belong to a community that look for one another. So you more want to belong than you want to step out. And a lot of time it's criticized, but I would say it makes sense.
But it's also something different because we were talking before the interview with Linus that I'm from Poland, and in Poland guys are wearing suits, but they think that the suit is like more like a uniform. They are forced to wear the suits. They don't like it. Yeah. But women, they dress up, wear like high heels to work. But I mean, here in Sweden, people know how to dress.
Yeah, they do.
Even when they don't want to dress up, they want to feel like more casual. People know what opera pumps are, shoes to wear with tuxedo, loafers. In Poland, a lot of guys, they call loafers moccasins, for example. That is so. For me, it's like guys know how to dress, but they don't wanna. And you mentioned your son. How old is he?
My oldest son is 21.
21. Is he also interested in menswear?
Not really. No.
Not really.
But in fashion, is he?
I would say more so in like earlier in his teens. Not that much anymore.
Okay.
But I agree with you when it comes to kind of the Swedish people being, because people are very aware.
Yeah, exactly.
They're conscious in their choices, but they're also very anxious in their choices.
They're choosing the same.
Yeah, and I remember
like everyone else.
Going back in the days, you had and this becomes a very local reference, but with the south central of Stockholm, like Södermalm, you had kind of a hipster thing.
Exactly.
People were, and everyone said, I want to express myself uniquely, and this is really me, and then everyone
expressed the same uniquely in the same
and had exactly the same trendy hobbies, and when it becomes kind of ridiculous at some point.
It is quite funny how at the end of the day we have the feeling that we are going, but it's a bit like rebelling, because you rebel about from something, and then you do stupidly the opposite, but then you're exactly the same, part of the same system.
It's funny because we all think we're menswear dudes. We think that we dress better than everyone else. We express ourselves, but we still wear the same outfits. We love like Japanese, for example, garments. We love loafers, Cordovan. We just love the same stuff.
Yeah, and we have the same references, actors, and so on, and we won't dress like them.
or like, for example, we brew coffee in those manual ways. I've seen some real recently. So a lot of menswear guys actually love coffee. You cannot drink coffee.
But I love it. No. That's my I'm
allergic. but it's so funny that we are talking that the people dress the same clothes, wear the same clothes, but we do the same.
Yeah, exactly.
We follow those trends just in this small niche.
Yeah, a different sub-community and with different references. The behavior is kind of the same.
Guys, we decided that we're gonna create 2 episodes, because just talking for hours, we can talk for hours, but like one episode should be about 30-40 minutes. So we will finish here, and in 1 week there will be another episode about how to dress, on an interview about menswear, an interview with Linus.